here, see what's going on. I'm going to switch over to the workbench, and let's start it here. Welcome to Poppy's Workshop. The first of the year, or I should say the first video of the year. And I'm kind of out of sorts for many reasons, just kind of blah, tired. I don't know why. Went back to work. Work's fine, but with the hours that I keep, pace that I keep, it's just been wearing me out a bit. So something needs to be done. But anyway, yesterday I just did a quick, fun little project. This is the scroll saw coat of arms, and this is from Steve Good, his designs. And many people, what they'll do is they'll paint different colors. This will be gold, that'll be gold, maybe blue or something. So it's a fun little design. It's something that I'm just going to throw up on the wall in my workshop and see what that brings. This is mahogany, as I prefer to call it, and it's a lovely wood to cut. You can see that there are some intricate turns and patterns in this, and I enjoy doing this. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put a backer on it. I don't think I will. I'm going to use it more for the shadow than anything else. The other thing that I'm working on right now, you probably saw me cut this, oh gosh, quite a while ago. Let me just take a couple pieces. So let me flip it. This is a puzzle that I'm doing, and I'm starting to profile the edges to round them off just a little bit. And then these accent lines that you can barely see, I'm going to take a #1 spiral through them to define them a little bit better. So those are the next steps that I'm going to do, is profile and define the accent lines. From there, I will be painting these with my airbrush. I purchased a new airbrush, back during the summertime when my old one died out. I bought a cheap one, and it barely lasted a couple uses. I was just frustrated with that. So I bought a little bit more expensive one, bigger air pump on it, hopefully better quality. And I'll see what I can do in terms of airbrushing the colors into this. As always, when you're doing toys, you're going to have a preference as to what you do and what styles you like and everything. You'll develop your own style, your own techniques. Like, you can see that my claim to fame is using multiple species of wood. So let me do this. I'm going to grab a couple pieces that have been finished here, and you can see the difference. So give me a moment to reappear, and then we can continue on. Here we go. Got to get past this one camera, and I'm going to get some stuff so it doesn't fall. Okay, so you would have seen, for example, in my live, I think it was it my live feed? Most likely not. It was the 24-hour live feed from What If I Could, John. He does a lot of live feeds. So anyway, so during that one, I was finishing with linseed oil my various pieces to, let me get this into the camera so you can see here. Oh, out of focus. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be focusing well. And it may be my glasses, trying to look at a screen here. Get it under the light a little bit and see if that works. So here is black limba, canary wood. Here is yellow heart, and I really love the way yellow heart finishes, both in sanding and in the linseed oil finish that I do. So there's that, and here's another one. Oop, dusty here. That's why I have it on my drying table. So here is Purple Heart, and again, it doesn't look like this camera is focusing. It's a cheap camera versus the one that I'm using on my my scroll saw. I used 12 different species of wood in that particular, it's not a puzzle, but it was a Noah's Ark toy. And let me get this out of the way. Now, where you can really see my style when I use multiple species of wood would be here, using a lighter wood on the outside and a much darker, in this case the red cedar, on the inside. So this too was also finished in the linseed oil raw, and always make sure that the wheel's still turning and everything, and I just smothered it in the linseed oil so it won't dry out. And this is another Steve Good design. And one more. So here is a dump truck. And what I did in this one, you probably saw an earlier one, I used red oak, and it really shows, you may not be able to see it, but it really turns a reddish color when you put the linseed oil on it. So yeah, that really came out nice versus the one that I did in all the same wood. I mean, the other one looks really nice, but this just adds character. So you could almost say this is my style of doing toys and things like that. And it's all based on, I really like intarsia. So I take some of those techniques of using multiple species of wood and just kind of going from there with it. Let's see, I think that's about all that I wanted to do for show and tell. Let me check my other screen here, see if anybody has come on, because yeah, I guess nobody else is here. But anyway, let's see what my next project is and what we're going to talk about momentarily. I'm making a mess of things here. I'm becoming really klutzy. Get this out of the way. Oh, so I wanted to talk a little bit, if you've seen my video on my new dust handling system, I was using a DeWalt, their shop vac, and man, it did a stellar job. And the way that I had it set up is as soon as I turned on any machine, it would come on, and then when I turned off the machine about 5-6 seconds later, and I'm touching my a switch that you can't see, and if I when you turn it off, 5-6 seconds later, it gave it time for the pipes to clear, then it would turn off. Big issue with that is that shop vacs are not meant to be run for long periods of time, so that would wear them out. That's number one. But the biggest for me, number two, was the noise. Oh, good heavens! It was just, you had to wear hearing protection when that was on. It's just terrible. So what I did, I went and I got a Harbor Freight, yes, I know, a Harbor Freight dust handling system. Now, my mistake was going for the inexpensive one, the 1 horsepower, because theoretically, it was supposed to move, I think it was more than 600 cubic feet per minute. So that would have been at the intake, 600, whereas the DeWalt said it was like 60 or 70. So mathematically, at the intake, I would have a tenfold increase in air volume. Fine. Knowing that there's more suction in the DeWalt versus the other one, my new one, but it should have been better. Now, when I hooked it up, I loved that it was quiet and everything like that. It went through my cyclone system, but when it came to the intakes at each of my tools, it didn't feel as strong as the DeWalt. So thinking about resistance, thinking about the different joints and connectors that I had, I decided at the far end, you can't see my hand there, far end that way, where it plugs into the system, into my pipes, you know, it just wasn't right. Now, as I started inspecting, I noticed that one of my blast gates did not close all the way. So it's like, okay, I'll remove that. Then I'm like, well, you know, I've got this Y here. I don't use the small hose that often. I've got another small hose over here. So let me show that. So I've got another small hose over here, and I use that for, you know, just hand cleanup and stuff like that. But I had another small 1.5 inch diameter that would go to some of my portable equipment that I would normally use outside of the workshop because they are so dusty. And then again, the longer hose, I can then hook it up and use it to clean out the cars if I needed to. So that was my idea, but I removed it, and I'm trying to think of how much I removed there, and it was like, it was okay, but something still was not right. Then I decided, okay, I am going to remove my cyclone, and that's exactly what I did. I removed my cyclone, plugged directly into my main line, 2.5 inch main line, and yeah, the suction was so much better. The issue that I have with that is the cyclone, you know, when big chunks go through, when the big chunks of sawdust go through, it drops into a 5-gallon bucket, and everything works great. It's wonderful, wonderful. But it wasn't quite doing that with the... Oh, I see somebody here. Hey, Archie. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you stopping in this morning and me just yakking along right now for the start of the year. So yeah, I'm just yakking about the new dust handling system right now and what my plans are going to be. So anyway, plugged it directly into my main line, and suction was great. But the issue now is, especially when I'm cutting smaller pieces with the scroll saw, I have the 3¼ inch. Let me switch over to that so you can see the scroll saw. Oh, got my shoulder. I must have moved it. Wait a second here. Let me go back to the workbench, fix that. I guess when I snuck by, I moved the scroll saw. I don't have a whole lot of room, and knocked it out. I've got to figure a better setup for the cameras. I mean, they're good. This one that I'm going to show you momentarily is actually on the cart with my computer. Yeah. And wait a sec, I'm trying to concentrate. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, I guess. Okay, here we go. All right. Let me switch over to that camera now. So if you look, here is what I call my top vac. And this puts a very strong suction. The issue that I have without the cyclone is when a little piece gets sucked up, it goes all the way through, and then it gets to a screen that is in the intake of the dust collection system. And you hear it hit, and being that it's too big to go through that grate, what happens is the air, because of the what do you want to call it, the fans, the turbine, or whatever, is circulating, and it just starts bouncing around in this little trapped area. It's like, man, and that's where the cyclone would have actually just dropped it to the bottom. So what I need to do is figure out how I can bring the cyclone back. What may wind up happening, let me switch back to the workbench here. may wind up happening is I may have to go to probably a 3 horsepower system. So my recommendation, I find that that dust handling at 1 horsepower does very well for, no cyclone, or maybe my cyclone, because I home built it, needs a better sealing, better airtight. We'll see what happens with that. So that may be one of my lines of attack, is I'm going to check all the seals on it, because it is kind of like everything that I do is homegrown and invented on the fly. It's like, oh yeah, hey, oh, this'll work. Hey Bubba, hold my beer and watch me do this. I'm in Virginia now, so yeah, I can talk like that. So that is one issue. So I may save up, get the 3 horsepower, see how that works. But I really like how quiet it is. So if I turn it on right now, I'm going to try and get my mic closer. I'm going to get my mic real close. That's coming through the pipe. That is, I have a 3/4 at my drill press, so that blast gate is open. And I can talk normally. I'm going to turn it off. And, it's probably the equivalent of a somewhat, maybe a little bit louder than a normal conversation. Maybe not. It's hard to say. But I can maintain a conversation. I don't need hearing protection or anything like that. So that's kind of a good thing. Now, each of my tools are on a blast gate, and that's the other limitation of a 1 horsepower, is that you can really only do 1 tool at a time. Whereas if you go to, say, a 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch main line, up it to, 5+ horsepower, you are definitely going to be able to have more than 1 tool. Now, I remember back in 7th grade, or in particular high school, the dust handling system was outside. It was this giant tower. And of course, with 15, 20 boys in the classroom running all different kinds of equipment. We're talking, I think we had 3 lathes running, 2 table saws, sanders, drill presses, just all kinds of stuff. And then also, you had the sweep ups that, as we tried to keep the shop clean, you had these, what do you want to call it, these inputs similar to this at the floor level. So we would just sweep right into it. So that is definitely a warning and some advice that I would have in terms of dust handling system. So what I've done, I've told you that I removed some joints, some connectors. I've removed some blast gates. So this particular line here, now I will unplug it or disconnect it at the blast gate, and I will move it to my router table. I can move it to my grinder, which also has that soft horizontal sander on it that I use for shaping intarsia and stuff like that. And then I can plug an adapter in, and I can have it go down to a regular vacuum hose so that it can connect to my table saw, to another, what was it that I was thinking of? Disc and belt sanders. I have 2 disc and belt sanders. I have the 1-inch wide by 21-inch with a 5-inch disc, and then I have the, what is that? That's 5 or 6-inch wide belt with a 6-inch disc. That's on a movable cart. So I'll definitely do those and see what happens with that. Let's see where we're at here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be working on this week. Christmas is over, and I'm trying to decide. Let me bring it back over here. So let me move a couple things out of the way. So here is, let's see, I think I can get most of it in. Here is a design from one of my favorite pattern designers, Sue May, and she's I think it's scrollsawartist.com. She has beautiful work. If you remember the Christmas snow scene that I did, that was hers. Trying to remember, I've done a couple other ones, and her work not only is very intricate, but you can also get pieces that are quote-unquote scripturally accurate. So when you look at this particular design of the beginning of the crucifixion, where Simon is helping Jesus as he falls, through where, he's crucified, and then, Mary at the tomb, and the angel saying, hey, he's not there anymore, and moving along to his resurrection. The Christmas scene that I did, actually, the other one was a Christmas tree nativity that was very true to Scripture as well. So like this one, though she has them, but they're separate, you won't see bunnies in this. You won't see things that are not scriptural, and the same thing with the Christmas ones. So I will be doing a few Easter patterns in the next couple weeks, starting with this one. I have to do all the drilling, but right now, I think what I may do, I'm still debating two things on this. Whether I'm going to cut the outline out first to make it easier to handle, or leave it like this, because I think when it comes to my drill press, I may have some limitations on being able to reach certain areas. And I don't want to do it by hand because there are some very small lines that I got to make sure that I nail the drill holes. Of course, there's interpretation, but I want to make sure that that's pretty copacetic there. Let's see. Yeah, so that's the one that I'm going to do now. And this one, too, is also made out of mahogany. And that's the other thing that you will notice that I do. I use hardwoods. I don't use veneers. I don't use plywoods or anything like that. My goal with everything that I do is to make sure that I'm going to have a piece that lasts, that looks good, that is heirloom quality. And this is just my philosophy. I've talked about it before, that I don't want to use plywoods or cheap wood. My time is valuable, so the way that I look at it, if this was plywood, let's say it took me 5 hours to do, and I've been debating about doing this as a stack cut, and that's the other thing that I'm looking at doing. Well, actually, so that'll make 3. I haven't said my third one yet. So I may stack cut this because, again, if I do 4 or 5 hours plus to do this, especially when you get into the small stuff, it's wiser to do the stack. And I'll maybe do it in a different type of hardwood, maybe a little bit softer than this in terms of the Jenga score, but it's going to be a good hardwood. And, I was thinking of maybe using black limba, for example, which might look really cool. And so I'm thinking of stacking this. The other thing that I'm thinking of doing is actually doing some carving. This is where I'm not quite sure. I was thinking of doing that with this, is, getting some rounded shape and everything into there. Make it stand out a little bit more, like do a stop cut here, bring this down a little bit lower by just maybe 2 or 3 millimeters or so that these pieces all go down into that. So I've been debating about that, but again, being that this is just going to be on my wall in the workshop, it may not be the best use of my time, though I could use it as a learning experience or a technique experience to keep my technique up with my carving tools, with my hand carving. And I am thinking of maybe hand carving this, but because of all the intricacies of Sue May's designs, it may not necessarily lend to it, especially with my skills. I'm not a super super advanced carver by any means at all. So I think I may just kind of not do that. So that's the decisions that I'm thinking of right now. I was going to start drilling today on this, but again, I'm a little bit tired and not quite on my game. I know when I cut this yesterday, I started just not feeling right, and I would stop. I'd go away for 30 minutes or so, then cut this part out, and it's like, just not right. Then I think my blade was dulling. I could hear it chattering. So I say, all right, I'll change the blade. I'll do this more intricate with the sharper blade. Okay, that worked out well. I'm looking at this line here when I did it, and I'm really good at nailing lines. And again, this is so slight, most people would never even notice it. And I can see just a slight bobble in that line. And when I run my finger, where was it? I think, yeah, here. I was micro adjusting just a little bit too much, so I can feel my adjustment here. You can't see it, but I can feel it. So I'm debating, again, is it worth my time or not, to sand that just a little bit on the barrel and just kind of get that smooth to the touch. But it's so slight, I'm being really anal about it. And again, this is just a silly wall piece to put on. I'm not selling it or anything like that. So there we go. That's it there. Now, in terms of toys, let's see. Let's see what I got that's finished. I told you about Noah's Ark. I thought I had, yeah, I have one of these finished. Let me grab that. Let me grab couple of these now that they're finished, and come on back. Here we go. Not hit that camera. Let's get these up out of the way first. So again, on that live stream that I was on, and I may be on another one today, I'm still debating. That way I could just watch the other folk and not really do a whole lot. Here's another car. This is out of Cherry. This was one of my early prototypes. So yeah, the wheels are in a little bit here. Goes nice. Has the removable little person. So this is linseed finished. So with the Cherry, it picks up a little bit of a yellow tinge to it. And that's the one thing you've got to look at is, what will your finish do to your wood? And I know, like with these, if I just did these by themselves, they would turn a bone colored. So this brings out more of the yellows, but then you look at the tires, they definitely darkened up quite a bit. So here is a 1972 Corvette, and you would have seen me cutting these out at one point. And I actually have 3 more to get the fenders on. I have to do some fine adjustments here and here and here so that the wheels are not interfering or interfered by the wheel well. So we have that. Then, let me get this. This here, we're going to talk about Poppy's workshop, and the purpose is, my goal is to be able to produce toys for children in need, whether it's globally, for example, Ukraine or Israel, where they're put into refugee camps or whatever, they're taken from their homes because of war or whatever conflict. And this is where, my being in NATO gives me my global perspective. So I look at what's happening globally, and yes, some of this will eventually go that way as I start producing more and I get the contacts with the NGOs and some of my partner countries that I work with. But this particular dog, I can't remember the name of the pattern maker, but this was on Scroll Saw Village forums, and I really love the heart in the middle. So this little puppy here with the heart has become my mascot for my, why is it still on? Wait a second here. It's on the workbench. I don't know. My streaming is really messed up. I don't know if it's working right. It's really frustrating. Now it's changing 32 minutes in, and I had changed this 15 minutes ago. So I hope it's just the buffering. So this is my mascot. I'm actually getting a new sweatshirt because this one is definitely pilling and dying. I will wear this while I'm working in the yard. But I will have this with my Poppy's Workshop signature, and you know, from little acorns to mighty oaks, the little saying that I have below. But it's not going to show the tires or anything. It's just an outline of the cuts more than anything else. So getting back on this, yes, I am thinking globally, but initially I will be acting locally. So fire departments, you know, certain children's agencies and things like that, police departments. You know, look, in my area, a lot of things are happening, and you know, kids get put into some crappy situations, especially the little ones. So, you know, to give them something like this that could last a lifetime out of the hardwoods that I've used in my construction techniques, and also too is if it breaks, you know, it can be brought back to me and I can easily fix them or replace them. So I have a few different designs, and I'll probably start, I've got to pick up some more wood, and I think, I forgot what this was. You can probably tell me what this is. Was this curly maple? This might have been curly maple, actually. Yeah, this is curly maple. I can't tell because if you, I don't remember, I think this was curly maple. So if you look at how the finish is, linseed oil versus no linseed oil, you can see how I could have to hesitate thinking that it's aspen or something like that. But what I do with these type of toys, I do not finish them. I do not put any type of finish on whatsoever. You know, more from a liability standpoint, even though raw linseed oil is food safe and is really at that point child safe, I'd rather just go without that. If you look at some of the photographs of my grandson, you'll see the first thing he does is he puts it in his mouth. So at that point, it's like, you know something, let's just do this. So here is the little ship, that little tugboat or whatever you want to call it. That is another one. So we have that. We have a whole bunch of others, but these are more of the signature toys that I'm going to produce. And these definitely I would stack cut. And, you know, so I would get, these are 1/2 inch. I'm sorry, 3/4 inch. I really like 3/4 inch toys for the smaller kids, because when you start getting into the inch, 1.5 inch, for their little hands, it gets real tough. I give it to my grandson, who is 10 months old, almost 11, and I can see how he is able to grip, hold, put in his mouth, whatever. So he is my official toy tester. And so these are some of the signature items of the ones that I would give away for younger children, say 3, 4 years. I don't know if a 5-year-old would dig this stuff or not. So I've got to come up with some additional toys. So that's my goal of this year as well. So actually, let's do this. Let's talk about some of the goals of what I am going to do. And again, it is going to be associated with Poppy's Workshop. You know, I could actually make this for the older kids, though the 2-year-olds love this. I gave one to one of my friends. We'd worked security details together, close protection, and gave this for his son for Christmas, and the kid loves it. And he's 2 years old, or just turning 2 years old. But I think I could get into maybe 5, maybe 6 years old. And most of my stuff is going to be for the younger kids. So I'm going to make sure that I create a lot of the signature toys and come up with some more advanced ones. But I have to make sure that they are, I don't want to use the term easy to produce, but I can replicate, I can do somewhat of a production of cutting things out. You know, for example, this here, I cut 2 out at a time, drill them, get them on, you know, boom, boom, boom. And there's 3 or 4 on a 12-inch slab of wood. So, you know, in a hour, I get, you know, 8 done, or 8 cut out in an hour. Then I can take it to the barrel sander, or I'm trying to also design these so that I can put this on my router table and just quickly profile them, because I do profile everything smooth for the small hands so that they are soft to touch, so to speak. So that's part of the plan, and I would like to be able to this year get into a couple of the local fire and police departments, giving a few toys out. I have some feelers out to a police department in Massachusetts where I know a sergeant, and hopefully he'll get back to me soon and say, yeah, if you can send, you know, 5 toys, and that'll be cool. We'll see. So I'm going to start out small, because Poppy's Workshop as a charity, I'm going to be moving to the 501c3 charity stuff, and you know, the registration and everything like that, and moving to 501c3. But meanwhile, since I'm not making profit, everything's coming out of my pocket, I'm going to do everything on a small scale and then make the processes repeatable. Then if I can get some volunteers, whether coming into the workshop here or using their own workshop with my wood and usable supplies and everything, and they can crank some out so that we can then say, hey, look, we've got 100 of these or 500 of these toys. Let's get them to an NGO. Let's go through the NATO liaison representatives and get them into other NATO countries that are in need or have children somewhere. You know, they always know something. We have a Christmas bazaar, I guess you call it, every year. And this year, I think, 20 of the nations set up tables. It was mainly the wives of the folks, or the spouses, I should say, of the people who come to the United States for 3 years in their military capacity. And they sell these items, and then that money is all pooled and will go to certain children's charities throughout different countries in the NATO organization. That's kind of I just said NATO, or I said organization, the sphere of NATO, the NATO countries. So I can tap into them when I'm at fuller production levels. Or I just decide, you know, every week I am going to create, I'm going to cut and finish one double stack of 8 items or 10 items. So by the time 2 or 3 months rolls around, I've got 100 toys. You know, we'll see how that goes. But I have many different contacts, many different avenues to do that. So you can say right now what I'm doing is a soft opening, and deciding what toys, what techniques, and everything like that I'm going to use. Now, moving along, and then I will probably end this video. I'm kind of embarrassed at how it just didn't come out the way that I had hoped. To do is I'm trying to figure out videos, whether I'm going to keep doing these Sunday videos at 9:30, and then say join in the afternoon, and maybe connect my stream or I should say John streamed to my page as well in Facebook, yeah, in YouTube. And then also during the week, maybe do one video, whether it's a review, whether it's just, hey, right now I'm doing what's on Poppy's workbench, which really that's what this was. This is just my, first week of the year talk. And again, being that I'm kind of out of sorts, I was just gonna do this. So I know that I want to do one short video a week. And if I could just shut my mouth and keep it down to 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, that'll be great. Then I am going to do the one live, which is really, I think more, yeah, I'm going to talk in it, but I want to do more where I'm just working on stuff, letting you see what I'm working on, glean some of the techniques that I use, maybe recommend some things to me. And I would really appreciate comments and saying, hey, can you give me advice on this? Do a video on that. Like I do have one in the hopper that will be published, I think, next week that I actually redid is how do I prepare my blades? Most people, or many people, will just take a new blade, slap it into the chuck, tighten it up, and away they go. Hey, that's fine and dandy. But I do a couple things in advance, and I'm not going to spill my cookie jar, and that's in the video of what I do and why I do it. And it's not my technique per se, it is what I have adopted from other people. I like their logic behind it, and I've also adjusted it, or I make it cathartic for me, meditative. When I sit down and I put a new blade in and I'm doing certain things, I can start getting my mind ready for the task at hand. So that's the goal. You might see me on John's live stream a little bit later, which is also why I might move to a Saturday. I've got to find out what his plans are, because he'll come on later this morning from me, or early afternoon, and he'll be on for 3, 4, 5 hours, and I'll join for a couple. And you actually get to see my face. I'm not trying to be an influencer, a YouTube star, or anything like that. I'm just trying to bring people awareness of not only scroll sawing and the art and the fun that's behind it, but also to my charity. And you can see my website at Poppy's Workshop, all one word, .org. And from there you can link to my Facebook, my YouTube, and everything like that. Well, actually, if you're watching this, you're on my YouTube, so you can do the reverse. Just go to the About, and you can see my my website and learn more about what I'm doing. But also on that website are my, what do you want to call them? I have the vlogs, which you see here anyway, but I have some written blogs. So I'm writing right now once or twice a month. And, some different things. Like I just published one 2 days ago about one of the inspirations of Poppy's Workshop. So you can check that out. It's also linked on my Facebook as well. That just came live today on my Facebook. So I try to post written, which I think I'm a lot better writer than a YouTube whatever I am here. Yeah. So again, goals, middle of the week, 10, 15 minute, 20 minute video, how to, why to, reviews and stuff like that. And one live, most likely Sundays at 9:30. Maybe connect to one or two lives during the week if they're not too late, because I'm up at 2:30 in the morning. So I'm not going to do things that start at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then again, back onto my blog on my website and Facebook, you'll see one or two of those a month right now. As I get more people, I may increase the writing as well, because that includes photographs. I do have a blogger site. I've kind of covered it up a little bit, and I was publishing, I think, once a week, and it was more for scrollers, but I wasn't receiving a whole lot of feedback, so I'm kind of letting that die down a little bit in lieu of my website blog. But we'll see how that goes. So I think I've talked enough today. I did nothing. Yeah, and right now I'm sitting here, it's like, man, I just don't feel right. So definitely pray for me. I don't know if it's left over from the multiple times I got COVID or from the shots or things like that. I think I have long COVID. There's no doubt about that. After a year, I finally got my sense of taste and smell back last year when I got sick. And it just things are different. So anyway, let's end on a positive note. And again, please leave your comments and suggestions as to what you would like to see. And with that, may the Lord richly bless you and make it a great day right here at Poppy's Workshop.